I've always been told that I'm autistic. I have many clear traits that make it clear that I am autistic. However, I recently went to my GP to find out more about my diagnosis, only to find out that I actually officially don't have one. So, what happens now? Hey up, everyone, and welcome to a new series of mine, Stef The Alter Nerd and Autism, So What? And in my first episode for this series, Stef The Alter Nerd and Autism, So What Happens Now? This is the thing, I've always been told that I am autistic, and with the way I am, it makes sense, to be fair. Now, all I know about this is that when I was born all the way back in 1986, I did not communicate or say a word until I was about 3 to 4 years old. Now, during that period, I was seen by a lot of doctors and nurses. I do remember this one time very vividly. I was at St. James's Hospital in this green porter cabin. I was sat in front of this wooden game where you have the star, square, triangle, and circle holes, and then the corresponding wooden blocks to fit them all into. I also remember not knowing which pieces fit into which hole. I had to literally be shown how it worked. Literally, like the nurse got my hand, picked up the star block, popped it in the star hole, and so on and so forth. Now, this is how I learn everything and continue to learn to this day. I have to be shown how to do something first, and then I can do it. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity for some reason to be able to work things out intuitively by myself. For the first couple of years, school-wise, I went to a special needs school. Now, my mother took me out of there and I ended up in, for want of a better phrase, a normal state school. But I did have a speech therapist that came along with me that would continue to give me the extra assistance that I needed. Now, I've always been academically gifted and I do have, let's say, the brain smarts. But when it comes to the social smarts, I'm absolutely shiz at that. Now, let's put it this way. I take things so literal that if you say you're okay, but you don't look okay, I'll actually take you at your word that you're okay. In this way, I just cannot read between the lines. I really, really struggle with that. So when I went to my GP a couple of months ago, I finally wanted to find out more about my autism because it's a large part of me that I know very little about. You know, what type of autism do I have? Where am I on the spectrum? I've always been told that I'm low spectrum, high functioning, but recent online tests are telling me something very different. You know, what can I do to cope better with certain situations? I have all these questions in my mind and so much more, but when I went to my GP, she couldn't answer any of them. They told me that all they have on the system during that time when I was younger is that I have, quote, delayed speech. Now, back in the 80s, there was a really, really big problem. Doctors didn't actually diagnose females with autism because they believed that autism only occurred in males. Nowadays, of course, doctors obviously know better, but this means one thing for me. My medical records are not accurate. My GP told me that having this diagnosis of delayed speech on my medical records effectively means that they are diagnosing me with autism, but without the actual official diagnosis, I actually can't have access to any treatment that I may need or access to any autistic support groups, such as the Specialist Autism Service that I really, really, really want to get on board with. Now, my GP told me that I'd be put on a waiting list and that it could actually be anywhere between 3 to 4 years until I actually got my autism assessment done. So at that point, I gave up. Until one of you alter nerds out there contacted me after a Twitter rant that I made about this. Now, I'll leave you anonymous, but I'm so freaking grateful, if you're watching, that you emailed me, because they introduced me to Psychiatry UK and informed me that their waiting times to actually be assessed for autism as an adult is actually only a matter of months rather than years. So I thought, perfect. I'll go with Psychiatry UK under the NHS Right to Choose scheme. So I had to fill out a letter and send it across alongside this AQ10 autism spectrum quotient, from where I scored an extremely high 9 out of 10. This is literally my form that I filled out, crossed off the boxes, and sent across to my doctor. Thing is, I don't have a printer. So initially I called my doctors to get an email address, and they told me that they couldn't give me an email address. And I'm like, well, that's absolutely nonsense. What about the patients that don't have a printer, such as me? You know, you need to be able to cater to those that don't have the things in place, you know, like a printer. Come on, let's not discriminate here. And of course, I soon found out that them turning around and saying that they couldn't give me an email address was an absolute lie, because I saw my GP soon after who gave me one. So I emailed the documents across, and after a couple of days, I got a text message from my GP confirming that, yep, they've initiated the referral. So at this stage, what happens next? Well, it's a little bit of a waiting game, you guys. Here is Psychiatry UK confirming how this all works. So once the referral goes in and they get the referral, as a right to choose patient, they say, quote, you'll be sent a welcome email and asked to create an account and upload ID and proof of address. You'll also be asked to complete some online forms as part of your, quote, pre-assessment checklist. Once you've completed the checklist, you'll be eligible to be sent an automated booking link when one becomes available. As a general rule, you'll be required to undertake a full initial 1-hour consultation. In some cases, they can offer telephone advice consultations for relatives and carers, which normally last around 30 minutes. But that doesn't apply for me. They're going to be speaking to me directly. The second step is attending the consultation itself. So they say, we'll send you a confirmation email and an SMS with a link from which you'll be able to access the consultation room at the appointed time from any internet-enabled computer or smartphone. They say if you're using your computer, you'll need to ensure it's got a working camera and microphone, which are check, and triple freaking check, right, guys, with what I do for a living. They say they use Microsoft Teams, which I've used before in the job that I had previously in the insurance industry. They encourage patients to download the app or install the software before attending the consultation. Just before the appointment, they said that I should click on the meeting link that they send by email, then be admitted into a secure video room, which will only be occupied by myself and the psychiatrist. At the end of the meeting, I'll be encouraged to leave feedback about the quality of the advice I've received, and they use the feedback to improve their service to the patients. The feedback is anonymous. And then the third step in terms of what happens after that is after the assessment, they'll then type up all the notes from the consultation or dictate them for typing before they're added to the patient record. A letter will be prepared and sent to me, in this case, summarising the appointment with a diagnosis and recommended course of treatment and outlining any next steps. They say that this could take 4 to 6 weeks because the immense amount of backlog that they're under at the moment. But you know what? Again, it's better than 3 to 4 years, which what the GP initially told me it would take to actually get an assessment in the first place. There is an option of having a review appointment in the future. And if I do require a course of medication after all of this, then the doctor will refer me for further treatment. So, guys, this is where I'm at now. My search for an actual official autistic diagnosis begins. I was absolutely shocked when I went to my GP initially for them to turn around and say, I actually don't have an official diagnosis, that all they've got on there is delayed speech, which is essentially 1980s speak for, yeah, you've got autism, but we never really diagnosed females with autism at the time kind of situation. It's absolutely unbelievable, okay, to even believe that they even thought like that back then. Now that, neurodiversity is very much at the forefront of society's consciousness at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting to go into that room, speak to my GP, find out my actual diagnosis, where I am on the spectrum, what the type of autism I've got, what I can do to be better, do better, any medication, whatever, right? Yeah. It's turned out pretty differently to what I expected. So, yes, for the first episode of Stef The Alter Nerd and Autism, So What? Yeah, so what happens now? Well, my search for an official autistic diagnosis begins, and I'm actually going to be taking you guys on this journey with me, a literal journey of finding out more about myself. Quite literally. I don't know when the next episode in this series will be. I'm literally really at the mercy of Psychiatry UK as to when they'll actually reach out to me. But as soon as they do, and as soon as there's any updates, I will update you in this new series of Stef The Alter Nerd and Autism. So what? Why am I doing this? I've always felt, how do I put this? A little bit awkward actually talking about my autism. Why? Because A, it doesn't really come up in conversation anyway to begin with. And B, I don't know that much about it, which is why I initially went to my GP in the first place to find more about my autism. And, I just want to do my part, my little bit in my little corner of the internet to raise a little bit of awareness when it comes to adults with autism, and particularly those that are in my position, that know they've got autism, very clear that we've got it, but don't actually have an official diagnosis. So, we're unable to get the support and treatment that we need. So, yeah, that's it for the first episode of this series, Stef The Alter Nerd and Autism. So what happens now? My search for a diagnosis begins. If you appreciated this video and you want more, and as I said, there are going to be more episodes of this as and when further developments happen, then please make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe, like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatever's. Do you live with autism? Do you know someone who lives with autism? What's it like for you guys? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.